You probably do.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Look at me. I'm healthy. Look at that. Look at that. You got my hair? Okay.
You been coloring that hair?
That's stress hair.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're
Yeah, I
live.
think so. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Let's share it.
All right, let me get to my. Let's
We'll
see.
get going here, people, for you. Let's see. We got, wow, we're getting, okay, let me get the comments on here. So go ahead, but guys that are coming on here right away, if you could comment and tell us where you're from, that'd be pretty cool. We're Conversation with Kayakjak on Wednesday, what is this, January 26th already?
You guys flying by quick.
Yeah, there's David Harry.
David!
Let's welcome all these guys to our stuff tonight. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a place to share it. There we go. I'll share it on my news feed. There we go. Okay. Boy, they're filling up tonight, guys. Jennifer
Are they?
Solberg. Hello from Papillion. Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Who's Rick Vala? Who is that guy?
Never heard of her.
Her? It's a her? He's a her.
Just kidding, Ricky. Love you, buddy.
Rick. Great caption this week on him. Tyler Alexander. Scott Skeshowitz is back from Massachusetts. James Francis wants secrets, Nate and James. You want some secrets?
What's up, James? He's probably frozen solid in his boots up there up north.
Yeah.
Right. He may be sitting in an ice hut right now and
probably, yeah.
Still catching monsters.
He was telling me that he's been driving out on the water now, and I was like, I wouldn't do it.
No, not me either. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd do it with my buddy's car.
There you go.
Not with my own.
So first of all, I want to welcome everybody. Oh, Steve George, -20 Minnesota. I want to welcome everybody here tonight. We got kind of a unique one tonight here. We've got Nate Gloria. Let me spotlight him. Nate, oh, that's the wrong guy.
I've aged.
We need an editor guy. Yeah. Well, Nate, I won't be able to do that.
That's okay. It's better that way. They want to see all three of us.
There it is in the bottom. There we go. Nate's back. Okay. So anyway, we got Nate Gloria, also known on Instagram as @NebraskaBass. And then we have James Leggett from Omaha. They're both in Omaha area. James is the director of the Central States Series. And he'll be talking about some things there. And then yours truly here, Kayakjak. I'm in Auburn, Nebraska. And it's a balmy, I don't know, 30s. I think it's 32 degrees here tonight. Maybe, I don't know.
It's a heat wave.
Saturday is supposed to be a high of 58. So I'll probably get the launcher out and get some rays that day. So anyway, we're going to get started here. First, I want to do some shout outs for some people that have contributed to Kayakjaks first here. Let them know that we appreciate what they've done. And number one is Easy Rec Racks. You guys don't know, you've seen me haul my kayak around on it. Ira over at Easy Racks. This guy is like a self-made engineer. He's invented all these things. His latest one's some kind of a kitchen. I got to see it for a camper type thing, but he's got a bumper for a camper and all this. But anyway, he developed this from scratch, and Mike Iconelli just got one, so you'll probably see it on top of his Toyota truck. And then of course Yak Gear has been around for a long time, and Railblaza, Ice Hole Power, for your batteries and your battery boxes. We can't forget Dwayne Wally, legend in the online taking care of our inches for fish guy for Tourney X, and Bass Pro Shops, who's been integral part of what I do for kids. We do for kids, and then Merz Inc. They do a lot of graphics for me here in Auburn, and then James Leggett also does quite a bit of stuff for us. So we thank him with, I think it's All American Business, right? All American.
American Solutions for Business.
American Solution for Business. I just keep thinking All American for that. All American. I'll have to get your name on there typed. And then of course Bending Branches paddles. We all need to paddle every once in a while, you know. So those guys I want to acknowledge, and then so we're going to start off with Nate tonight, and Nate is fishing at Lake Fork in how many days, Nate?
8 days.
8 days.
That's when I leave for Lake Fork.
That's when he leaves for Lake Fork.
10 days out, yeah.
And for those that are new to us here, Nate is a 2-time champion in kayak major events. Won a Bassmaster Type 1 a BASS series event last year, and then also the winner of the TOC down there when Hobie took it over. Now in the old one, you know, that's been going on several years, but now Hobie has their own they call it the BOS series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the old days, it was the TOC, and I remember fishing that years ago. But Nate, first of all, you know, can you let us know what it was like to come out on top? And those were so many great anglers there. What was that like?
Lake Fork is a dream. I mean, everybody fishing, you know, you grow up and you see Lake Fork and see it on Bassmaster, and you see those guys out there doing well, and just seeing this, you know, sheer size of fish that come out of that lake. It's kind of just a dream destination for everyone. And then to be able to go down there and compete against, you know, some of the highest caliber of anglers in the nation, and to win it once, but, you know, not only that, but twice was unbelievable. I tell you, you know, heading down there in 10 days, I got a feeling somebody else is going to win it this time. So it's somebody else's turn. It's slim chance that I'll be able to do it 3 times in a row, but somebody's going to get the opportunity to win down there at Lake Fork, and it's a special.
You never know, though, Nate. I mean, you could three-peat, right? I mean,
the chance is there, but that's very unlikely. You know, it's the lake is 6 foot down right now. I don't know if you guys have looked at the forecast. Obviously, I've been watching it, but I just saw some snow pop up for Thursday. So, I mean, things are going to be a little bit different than any other time that I've seen Lake Fork, or, you know, even for you, Marty, than the way you've seen Lake Fork before. So it's brand new to everybody this year.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
so how many anglers are registered so far? That's what James Francis wants to know that too.
There was 100 anglers signed up when I put myself into Tourney X yesterday. So, which huge shout out to Bass and Tourney X for you know, just the way that they have all that set up. I missed the password on it, so I had to text our group of guys that's going down to ask them how I can get into Tourney X. And that's just my fault missing that. But it's a pretty sweet way to, you know, get registered for that event. But yeah, last time I saw there was 100 guys in it.
That's nice. And
I'm sure it's gone up since then.
Yeah. I noticed today, the Toledo Bend was on the hot streak today. People registering for that event, they capped it. They capped it at 200 a day.
Really, 200? Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
Tyler Alexander says there's 111.
111
at Lake Fork.
Okay.
I'd like to go, but the kiddos need me here in Auburn for a little while longer.
So Nate, I was reading today that at full pool, you know, Fork is about 27,000 acres, and you know they're sitting at a little over 22,000 acres, or 75% right now.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for us guys who didn't farm and don't have a good comprehension of what an acre is, you're talking 5 square miles.
Yeah.
So it really changes the entire layout of the lake.
Yeah, it's gonna be significantly different than, you know, any time that I've ever seen it. I'm sure as soon as I get there and I see the lake in person, I'm gonna be like, whoa, like this doesn't even look the same. But that's what's neat about this tournament, and I'm glad that Bass decided to go ahead and keep it rather than, you know, postponing or rescheduling it. It's just another factor that gets thrown into it. And you guys know, as fishermen, I mean, there is so many factors that play into our days. And so to have a lake, you know, kind of become, you know, that's been a familiar lake for so many years in our tournaments, to become unfamiliar is actually pretty exciting. So somebody's going to get out there and somebody's going to figure it out, and they're going to get on them because Lake Fork has got them.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
So Nate, so when you're down there fishing, you know, and you're going to pre-fish a little bit, I'm sure, right?
Couple of days, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you looking for going into that? And I know I don't want to give away your what you want to do, you know, for your strategies, but what does a guy look for?
I think the biggest thing is just something different. You know, Lake Fork, if you look at that lake and you can drive from, you know, one corner to the other corner and diagonal and back, and it almost all looks the same, you know. So when you're on the water, you've really got to pay attention to the subtle differences. You know, for example, the last couple of times that I had been down there, the first time that I had won, I found some rock. There's very little rock at Lake Fork. That, of course, is now out of water, with the water being down 6 foot. But and then you know, the second time I had found some lily pads and some stems, and there was a mixture between some old, you know, dead stems and then new ones. So vegetation is a thing that you can look for, and everybody knows there's plenty of timber, but you find those subtle differences in those areas, and you're gonna most oftentimes than not you're gonna be able to find some fish there. You know, fish like to find something a little bit different and like to hold the things like that. So, you know, I think that's probably one of the main factors that's helped me. Something that I'm going to utilize, you know, for this trip down is just to look for something that looks a little bit different than everything else.
Let me ask you this, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Those work.
I bought.
You know, Shields and Cabela's and everywhere in Omaha seems to be sold out of those, and I wonder why.
I hit every rack in a 60-mile radius.
Well, it's a good thing I've stocked up before I let you all know about that one.
This is the new DT8, everybody. By the way, I bought out Tackle Warehouse as well, so there's none left. Look, I got hundreds of them.
Yeah, those are, and that color especially is just fantastic. And that being, you know, as a DT8, because if you guys know, they used to only create that in a DT6 and a DT10. And so being able to run that in between those two depths, that you're going to find a few more fish with that bait. So that's a hot ticket item. If you can find one of those on your shelves, pick it up.
Tim Parker, $25 to you, man. He loves those crates.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he does.
He loves crankbaits. He does.
He's on there. And hey, what do you think of this color here?
What do you got there?
It's kind of.
Is that chartreuse color?
It's called chartreuse root beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a copper top on it, kind of. What do you think?
You picked that up because you like root beer. That's what I think.
They didn't have cream soda. No, somebody's going to do that for me. I'll get one made by Amanda Brown. She's the crankbait queen in New York. She designs all those designs. So Nate, for you to search and find fish, does it finesse, power fishing? What's going to be the ticket you think down there?
If you know me personally, historically, I'm a power fisherman. I like to cover water. I think if you've ever, you know, fished, you know, with me in a tournament, especially locally where it's, you know, a little closer grouped together than these bigger lakes that we travel to, I go all over the place. So that's typically how I approach, you know, pre-fishing. Lake Fork's big, and they, you know, those fish, they don't, you know, they're not everywhere. But when you find them, you find them. And so I'll spend, you know, a couple of days of pre-fishing, covering some water, power fishing, and just trying to locate them that way. And hopefully I do and can slow down once I do when it comes tournament day. But yeah, historically I like to fish pretty darn fast.
So how close are we to the spawn down there?
It's probably happening right now, to be honest with you. Well, and here's what's interesting is that we've got some rain in the forecast before this snow. So, you know, and I don't know how much rain, but you know, I've been down at Lake Fork before where it has really come down. So imagine that, you know, we get heavy rains, and the water starts to come up. What do fish tend to do when the water comes up? They like to move shallow. But then the following day after that rain, and I don't know how much it's supposed to rain. It may just be sprinkles, but then there's a snow, possibility of snow. So it's going to be, like I said, it is going to be interesting to figure out exactly where these fish are and how to locate them, and not only that, but maybe even so staying on top of them. I think there's, historically in Texas, OH Ivy has got its, number out there for cold fronts and what bass do down there in Texas during cold fronts. So we could see some dynamite bags, come out of that lake this, a week and a half from now.
So you guys that are on here, if you want to chime in with a question or a comment, feel free, and we can try to answer it for you, one of us, or Nate, or whoever, But Scott has a question. Scott Sketchwitz, he says, what depth are you looking at to fish with the cold coming in?
It depends. It depends on if the rain is warm, if it's a cold rain, if it's coming up, how much rain. Now, let's say that there's no rain in the forecast. I'm honestly going to be checking in any range from 10 to 40 foot of water, to be honest with you. Anything less than that, I'll probably stay away from. Unless I start to scramble, then I might move up shallow, just because we all know fish do live up shallow just as much as they live deep too. So
sure, yeah. Guess who's on tonight on the comments? Nate? Well, there's a lot of guys, but
Carrie?
Two?
Carrie?
Carrie who?
I'm trying to remember. Wilson, is that her last name?
No. No.
that gal that fishes with us in Nebraska. But anyway.
Oh no. You mean Wilderness Woman?
Yes.
She's not on.
No. Okay. That was my guess. My guess.
Does Deb Eggenberger come to mind?
It at the forefront of my mind, it doesn't. But
okay. All right. I'm gonna give another name. Okay. She's married to Buck Eggenberger.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it does.
He's on here, and he said, and by the way, I'll ask a question in a second, but Buck, Buck, I know you know Buck very well.
Yes, yeah, and you go way back with Buck.
Oh, I go way back to when I was like 22 years old, head coach of basketball, and here comes this tall kid out with these giant knee pads on, and he's like Godzilla comes out in the court, Buck Eggenberger, and destroys us. He was a really good basketball player in high school,
and he's a heck of a fisherman too.
Oh, he's really good. Yeah,
yeah. And he's actually the guy who got me turned on to Mr. B Lure Company.
He just said that. He said, Mr. B bladed jig will find him.
Yep, and he turned me on to him, and that is what caught me an almost 8-pounder at Fork the last time that I was there. So shout out to Buck for that. Thank you very much. And
he's on. Yeah, but I'm going to try to hook up with him this summer.
Yeah, I'd like to join you. Let's make a trip out there together. And we'll go
I want to go hit like a Swanson or whatever Red Willow tournament, and then head up north there.
I want to go fish the spots he fishes. Have you seen the fish he pulls out?
I know where some of those places are at up there. I don't know if he probably has a little private one stashed away, but there's some really good sand pits in that area.
Yeah,
there. So, Buck, thanks for being on. He goes, you guys need to come out. We are.
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
He gets a lot of celebrities out there.
Oh yeah,
on his place. So, shout out to you, Buck. He always lifts me up, man. The stuff he posts out there.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So anybody else have any questions? Or James, you got a question for him?
I was just thinking a little bit about Lake Fork, and I mean, it really is where. I mean, it's a legendary place, right? I mean, there's just so many big fish that come out of there, and I think last year it took you 98 inches, right? For a big
quarter or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think it's going to take this year, Nate?
Over 100.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, and that's just true to form for Lake Fork. I mean, even last year when I won that, I went down with James Francis, who's on here. And I got off of the water, and he goes, dude, I think you got it. And I said, dude, there's no way I got it. Somebody got over 100 inches, because it's that easy to do at Lake Fork. And I say that, with a grain of salt, because it is also that tough to put up 100 inches at Lake Fork. It is a lake that is, put my mind into a complete maze and puzzle for an entire week, and I just happened to stumble into them on during the first time that I had won. So I think it's going to take over 100 inches, and I think you have to assume that every time you go to Lake Fork.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle for sure. I was some other things I was looking at today. I wanted to see, what Lake Fork was producing for big fish in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled up some stats. At the top 50, the top 50 largest bass to come out of Texas, 30 of them are out of Lake Fork.
Yeah,
which that just blows me away.
Yeah.
I pulled this up too. There's over 1,000 public bodies of water in Texas to fish. And you're talking 60% of all the big fish in the state came out of one body of water. That's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. So
Ivy's catching up. Ivy's catching
up. Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of blew up, didn't it? Okay, quick question, Nate. Tyler Alexander wants you to talk about your mono.
Yeah, he actually just asked me a good question on that the other day. So,
okay.
And I've caught some flack from guys before when we start talking about line, and I say I only use mono unless situations require braid, and we know that happens. When you're throwing a frog, or oftentimes I'll throw some braid when I know the bite is good and I'm going to be in some heavy timber. But otherwise, I'm a mono guy, and I love it. One, it's cheaper. Two, it's cheaper, and I like that. And three, it just works for me, and it's just a confidence thing. A lot of guys, Marty, I think you're a big time fluoro guy, aren't you?
Well, I do all three. I mean,
yeah.
It depends on the situation, but I use if it's finesse, it's braid to fluoro. I have some fluoro on some bait caster reels. I use a lot of mono on my power when I power fish. So kind of similar to you, I use mono there.
How about you, James?
Yeah, I'm a lot like Marty, right? I mean, you kind of follow what the master does, and I've watched Marty do his finesse thing with the braid to leader, and that works for me.
Yeah. See, and I will use fluoro when I'm at an ultra clear place, and I told Tyler that when we were talking about it. If we're fishing at Table Rock where you can see good visibility in that water, then I'll use fluoro. Otherwise, I kind of like the stretch in mono. It's kind of forgiving in my head when I think about it. It's forgiving when I set the hook as hard as I do sometimes. That it had I had maybe fluoro, it might have broke. I don't know. So it's just a confidence thing for me. It works, and it doesn't work for everyone. That's the cool thing about fishing, is we all get to kind of do it our own way.
Yeah, with a soft tip and mono, you have less chance of ripping the hook out of the mouth.
Yeah.
When they're hitting. Okay, so Jay is Lyra. He said, are you going to focus on structure or take advantage of current?
Lake Fork doesn't seem to have too much current, not that I've ever really seen. But and especially given the water, being as low as it is, there's just the creeks aren't feeding any water, so I will focus on structure. But with it being the time of year that it is, and me not being down there, there's a good chance that I may be chasing bait balls, because it is a shad driven lake. So whether you're chasing, shad or, threadfin, it may be that kind of bite too. So, it's going to be either structure, or it's going to be bait balls, one of the two. I'm pretty confident in that.
Did you see the aerial footage of the glades down there?
Man, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there is some incredible drone footage out there. And this guy seems to be like uploading every single day.
Yeah.
And so I've been taking a peek at that, and I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen my map of Lake Fork on my phone, but it is lit up like a Christmas tree of things I've marked.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 of those are not even in play anymore.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's how brand new this lake is going to fish for most people.
Yeah. Yeah. The Glades is basically a beach now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the Glades was only ever like what? When I had been back there before, like 4 or 5 foot deep.
Yeah. I fished there a lot. Yeah.
Unless you were in the channel.
Yeah. Very, very shallow, except the channel. And then the main channel coming in is pretty deep. But who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And then Brian Motzenbacher asked if the gators will be. I've never seen a gator on Lake Fork, but they're there.
They're there, and I have seen them.
They're thick, man.
Yeah, they don't like to eat frogs for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I threw my frog by a big old 12-footer a couple of times, and he didn't even move. But then there was one time where I was going and I was kind of working back into this cut, and there was some vegetation next to me, and I just heard this giant splash, and it scared me. And I looked up, and it was just like a small, like 4.5-footer that just kind of ran off the bank into the water. But they don't bother you. If you're not bothering them and provoking them, they won't bother you. However, that being said, I think I can remember of a story from last year of a guy saying that there was a gator in the back of his kayak at one point. Ask Francis about that question if you ever get him on here, because I think he knows the story. So yeah, that's I had other things on my mind that day than the gator in the back of the kayak. That would freak me out.
Well, what got me one time was my plugs weren't in on my kayak, my water plugs there, drainage plugs, and Jordan Westman was behind me. He says, "Hey Marty, your plugs are out," and of course water's probably going in, and so I pulled it to shore. I pulled it past the grass on the edge, and there was a big snake coiled on the edge, and I freaked out, man. I don't know if you call it a water mox or whatever they are. It was poisonous.
Yeah.
And I'm jumping around, and I didn't get back in for a while, but there's snakes down there too that can do things. I do want to say real quick that you guys that are on here, we have some big announcements near the end tonight, real big. So I think you guys will like what we have to say about that for opportunities in Nebraska.
I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of these kinds of podcast type shows out there. Our goal is not to be like ABC or ESPN. We just like to share our thoughts. and the other thing is, people stay in the loop and you get to hear what people have to say about fishing, especially kayak fishing on here. So with that, Nate, there's a couple more things here. What David Harry asked, what's it going to be like to launch your kayak down there?
Who knows? Who knows right now? I think that's probably a big question for everybody. It might be. I'm riding down with Michael Thomas. I'm looking forward to that. He's an awesome dude. He fishes in the Central States. So it might be both of us trying to help each other down to the water, because I imagine it's going to be muddy, in some areas where the water used to be and it's not anymore. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder too, there's a lot of seawalls where the docks are. I wonder if those will be exposed.
Oh yeah, I think so, man.
That's usually a good spawning area with all that gravel on them.
Yeah, I think every bit of existing, bank line is now 30 yards up. I really do.
Yeah, and on David's question, the boat ramps there are fairly well made, and they are near deep. They have some deep water off a lot of those, so I don't think it'll be an issue on most of them. Like that one though, that remember we launched before you went to that bridge. That one might be out of the water.
Yeah. I think what'll be nice is being down there during the tournament and having the captain's meeting that Bass is going to put on.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get a lot of information about where we can launch, what's accessible, and what's out of bounds. Because I know that was a big concern for a lot of people as it was launching. So,
okay. What's the name of that bait shop down there?
Lake Fork Marina.
Yeah, Lake Fork Marina. Hey, you keep talking. I got to get something real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you something.
I know what he's getting.
Yeah, he knows what I'm getting.
Yeah. So the very first time that I had won down there, it was like the night before day 2, and I go in. Marty and I think Marty and I rode down to that one. No, I went with Josh Workman. Well, anyway, I get done with day 1, and I go into the marina on day 2, and I'm looking for this specific bait, and I just want to go in, grab a handful of them, pay real quick, stuff them in the bag, and walk out so nobody sees. And there's Marty, and of course Marty, if you know Marty, he loves to chat and he'll talk to anybody. So he sees me and he's like, Nate, come over here. I want to introduce you to somebody. And I'm like, Marty, I have like what I think is the winning bait in my hand. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So is this what you're showing us, Marty? Is the guy that? Yeah, there you go. So these are iconic spoons down there at Lake Fork, and Marty, you'll have to remind me of his name.
Spades.
Yep.
Anyway,
he makes these and sells those at Lake Fork Marina.
Yeah,
he was in the shop that day.
He was there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Marty was trying to introduce me, but I was wanting to keep my baits and get out of there.
So he autographed my spoon for me.
Yeah.
And I have it in my man cave. But here's the deal, though. This is no kidding, guys. I was fishing at Rock Creek. You know, where I first started kayak fishing. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy out there that owned this little yellow cabin, and he would come up 2 or 3 times a summer. And he was an airline pilot, retired airline pilot. And he started talking to me, and he goes, hey, if you ever go to Texas, you got to go to Lake Fork and fish. And this is way before I even knew what Lake Fork was. I mean, I didn't even know it. And he goes, you got to go fish there. And he goes, by the way, I got a friend there that makes these spoons that every bass there is, you know. And so I go, okay. So he gives me some stuff, you know, and then we keep in contact a lot. Well, he passes away, but I remembered what he said. And so when I was in that shop, what are the odds of me seeing spades in that shop?
Yeah.
You know, and I told him about my encounter with his friend up at Rock Creek. What a small world.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was a great story, but
and that's the neat thing about Lake Fork is, you know, it's a world-renowned bass fishery. So you can literally run into any professional angler in that marina at any given time.
Yeah.
As they're, you know, unloading, stopping in there, they're friends with everybody, you know, and they spend a lot of time at Lake Fork. Those professionals do, and so that's another neat thing about Lake Fork is you just never know who you're going to see.
Yeah, his name is Joe Spates, and I'll tell you that is such a cool story, man. The funny thing is, you know, you knew you were on them, and so when you went in that store, I gotta get in and out, Marty. I can't stay, you know. And we got to talk to Joe, you know. and Joe's talking and going, and he had a little notepad like I got, and he's writing down all his little things on. Okay, we need to get these. I mean, the guy was just meticulous about it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say something with the Lake Fork Marina. There's a cafe there.
Oh, fantastic.
And so I go in there one time and I go, hey, yeah, I want to get a couple pancakes. And the lady goes, y'all sure you want to get 2 pancakes? And I go, yeah. Goes, I don't know about that. So she brings out 2 pancakes, and they're the size of like they're like 1.5 foot diameter. And I'm like, this is before I go out, and I go, oh my God. But I ate them, and she couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I go to pay for it, and the price was $6.66, and she freaks out. And I go, no. You add a couple pennies onto that because that's going to spook me for today. The price of my pancakes so that it didn't spook me out with this 666.
Yeah, anybody that goes down to Fork, especially some of the guys that are going down from Nebraska that have not been, we'll be having some dinner at the cafe. It is an iconic place, and you haven't been to Lake Fork unless you've had some food from that marina restaurant. So
yeah, it's a great place.
Great place, fantastic. Yeah.
So Nate, you had mentioned you're traveling with Michael Thomas.
Yep.
Which is super cool, by the way. I always like to see when experienced guys like yourself are spending some time with guys. I wouldn't say Michael's new anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a hammer. He can catch him up.
Oh, yeah, he'll take your money too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. But you guys have a large contingency of anglers from Iowa and Nebraska going down, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys are all staying together?
Yeah, we got Chris Longshore got us an Airbnb and got that locked down for us early, knowing that this time of year is when Lake Fork is the hottest. This is when you have a real chance at hitting that double digit. So knowing that it's going to get packed, we got to get a place early. So thanks to Chris Longshore for that. But yeah, we've got a great group of Nebraska anglers and Tim Gurley from Iowa. So it's going to be a good time. Ricky Valadez is going, so I got to make sure I keep him in line, and he'll look out for me and all the same. So, but no, it's going to be an awesome time. I know that we're missing a lot of Nebraska guys that are used to going. But we got a group of guys that have, every one of those guys got an opportunity to go out there and do something good.
Yeah. We've all kind of traveled with that same group of guys, and
yeah.
You guys will have a blast.
Yeah,
for sure. Keep Ricky away from the fireball, though.
I will.
Yeah. Hey, James Strawbridge is on tonight. Hi,
James.
I might have him on and talk about the Colorado circuit here sometime.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Get those guys on here. Okay, so let's go. Anything else, Nate, you want to talk about?
I'm ready to hear about some big updates that you guys have got. I mean, these are a couple of series that I get to fish here locally. So no, I want to know what's happening in the world of Nebraska kayak fishing, because I'm not on Facebook, so I don't get all the updates that get put out there. So,
well, there's a lot going on in the Midwest overall. Kansas has a real big kayak fishing circuit going. Kansas Kayak League now. Iowa's got a couple major ones. We've got a couple. We've actually got 4 pretty much things going in Nebraska right now.
Yeah.
And then the All-American Series, which I'll cover more detail later on the show as well. And then the Moyak there. So there's a lot of places you can fish. You just pick and choose what you want.
And what works for your schedule, yeah.
Yeah, and then weeknights, there's going to be a lot going on. You could literally fish 3 nights a week in leagues now in Nebraska. In eastern Nebraska, basically.
Yeah.
So it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna let James go first about his announcement.
Yeah, James, I've got the old Central States sweatshirt on here, so let's.
Hey man, I like the swag, man. I like the swag. So,
what new things are coming this year?
Well, we're gonna have to up our swag game first off, right?
I need a larger sweatshirt. I think it may not look like it, but I've gained a few pounds. So, this winter hibernation has really started, especially as I turned 30. So,
the problem with all that stuff is the supply chain is just still crazy out there.
Yeah.
I just did a big order for a company out in Colorado, and I had to pull 6 different styles of t-shirts from like 4 different warehouses just to fill their order. I mean, it's insane. But so a couple things going on. Of course, last week we talked a little bit about we're introducing Tuesday Night League. I don't know, Nate, if you caught that. But, Omaha Tuesday Night League, which we're super excited about. I think just gives more, like Marty was saying, it gives people more opportunities to get on the water, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that we have going on is, last year we did our Big Bass Brawl, right? Which was our team tournament out there on the 12 mile, which was a lot of fun, right? I mean, we kind of put that together kind of as a way for guys who've been around for a while to partner with maybe some guys who, I'm not going to say less experienced, but maybe who are new to tournament fishing. And work together in a tournament atmosphere.
Build some relationships.
Yeah, build some relationships, and I think a lot of friendships were kind of born out of that. So we're going to continue that this year, and what we are doing is we are partnering up with Marty on September 24th at Flanagan for his MLF, and it's still going to be. Marty's doing his, which is all you can catch, and we're still doing our Big Bass Brawl format, which is each guy submits 1 big fish, and so we're gonna run that together and see how many guys can Flanagan hold, right?
Yeah.
So and you guys know, Flanagan's newer lake. It's but it's come along. Nate has a knack for catching big fish out there, so we know there are some good fish out there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this year, I mean, we've got what 10 inches of ice. I've heard in some areas of Omaha.
Yeah.
A good hard ice is good on a new fishery, so I expect Flanagan to only keep getting better.
Yeah, for sure. And how big is Flanagan? How many acres?
I have no idea.
About 400, I think, is all.
Yeah,
Is it?
and there's so much structure out there, so many trees. I mean, there's
Fish is
plenty
big.
of places
Yeah.
for guys to fish, right? So we can easily put 40, 50 guys on there, I would think.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, Alex Nisley, he fishes the Central States. That dude he's a wizard out there. That dude knows where some stuff offshore is, and we don't have a whole lot of that Nebraska offshore structure. But if you do some work out there at Flanagan, it's out there. You can find it, and there's some fish that like to hold to it. So yeah, like you said, like it can fish a lot bigger than what Flanagan actually is.
Yeah,
People need to remember that and continue to explore that lake because it's brand new to all of us still.
it's 220 acres.
Yeah, I thought it was a little
220
smaller
acres.
than 400.
So if you have 22 guys, we each get 10 acres.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way,
That's
there was
enough. That's enough.
there was a small group of us that went out there in November to fish, and the boat ramp was closed because they're putting in a kayak launch, which is kind of nice out there.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
good lake. So we're excited about that. It was a lot of fun. We kind of wanted to get this thing done earlier in the year just to kind of build those relationships going into the season. But there's only so many weekends, right, to get things done. But we're excited to partner with Marty on his MLF format and give guys a chance to get out and meet some people and just catch a lot of fish.
Awesome.
Right? So, and then I promised the guys on CSKS that I had another announcement today. Now we still have our big announcement coming up on February 2nd. So that's next Wednesday. And things have changed a little bit, and I'll explain that a little bit more. But I want to let you guys know that today Jay Mueller and I met with the business, and we have entered into a partnership with Shields, and they are our title sponsor for Central States Kayak Series.
Awesome.
And that includes rebranding our series as Central States Kayak Series presented by Shields.
Wow.
And we're super excited to have them on board. Their support's going to be fantastic. And so if you guys need tackle, please stop by Shields. Visit those guys.
I have a credit card through Shields. And if you don't have one of those, go get one, because here's what happens when you get one of. Now, I'm not a big proponent on credit cards. If you're going to spend money on them, make sure you pay that thing off before the end of the month. Okay, that's Marty's teacher lesson for us all there.
There you go.
Yeah.
But if you get one of those Shields cards and you get your points, you actually get Shields gift cards back. So that's awesome, because I save those. And before a tournament, I'll go buy a bunch of tackle on my Shields gift cards. That I got, just using the card. So Shields is good. They got a good one-stop shop for a lot of stuff.
They have a great selection for sure of lakes, rods, reels, even through kind of the supply demands.
Yeah.
They did a pretty good job of keeping in stock as best as they could. So we're super excited about that. And I think it's one thing when you get a sponsor and the anglers are like, oh, cool, we're affiliated with Shields. I fully expect that our club is going to feel the impact of our relationship.
See, Marty's got some of the gift cards as well.
There
Marty,
you go.
We should give one of those away. Come on.
There you go. Yeah, super cool. Let me grab this bag.
Those are good. Those gift cards are. Do you have one of the Shields cards as well, Marty?
No, I don't. I have my Bass Pro card, and that's about it.
Yeah. So using things like that though help us as anglers kind of put a little bit of money back in our pocket and be able to use.
Absolutely, yeah. I just gonna say real quick that last year my wife, what I do with my points is I give them to my wife, and so last year I bought her a big smoker barbecue, $500 and something from the points.
There you go.
So she's happy, and I get to go fishing more. So,
Well, that's
So-
great news for Central States. I'm excited
Yeah.
about that. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
All right, James, you got any more surprises for us tonight?
That's it for tonight. So I do want to tell you guys that because of our contractual obligations with Shields, we are going to do something a little bit different. And Central States, you'll catch us live at 6:30 next week before Marty's deal, before Conversations with Kayakjak. So join us 6:30 next week. We have a big announcement. Whether you fish our club or not, it's just kind of a big thing for the community, and it's something we've been working on. We have a lot of work to do, but I'm super, super, super excited to announce this and
Awesome.
and get it out there. So
Good deal. Oh, by the way, yesterday, you know, I do a shop fishing skills little class on Tuesdays and Thursdays with the kiddos at school. I've got 13 kids in there now.
Good.
And yesterday we powder coated jigs. Oh my God!
Marty's got the kids doing all of his work.
You know, I might be breaking child labor laws in this. So, but gosh, they're having a blast.
That's good. Yeah.
And they were amazed at how you could dip that in the powder and to come out with that shine, you know.
Yeah.
And then they were experimenting with putting two colors together, and then they're talking about how they're going to make their kayak racks. It's just really cool, and they're already teaming up for the Monday night league and stuff. So and by the way, we have 24 catch boards.
Awesome.
To use for the kids.
With that's great that you
RoboHawk.
get the kids involved in
Yeah.
promoting the outdoors with them, because
Yeah.
you know, we all know that we've had, you know, people like that in our lives that promoted that for us. So
yeah, and you know what? I forgot to mention catch boards and RoboHawk tonight.
yeah,
You know,
RoboHawk's awesome.
RoboHawk is awesome. Catch boards, you buy one, you never have to buy another one.
Yeah.
Worth the investment. But RoboHawk, that is what you need. I mean, when you think about it, now that people have got the Garmin live scopes and everything, but your phone is the second most expensive thing on your kayak. I can almost bet you.
Yeah.
So reach out to RoboHawk, get yourself one of the phone tethers. That's if there's anything that you pick up from them, that's the number one thing. Nobody wants to be able to have a spectacular day, lose their phone in the lake, and have that all washed away. So
what a great
fantastic.
What a great partner those guys are in the kayak fishing community. I mean, you just kind of see them everywhere. And, you know, it's a local Iowa company. Those guys are just down to earth, great to work with. They support us in our club. They supported us on a fundraiser that we did with Chris Longshore's family last year.
Yep.
And
they support a lot of people. And
yeah.
And Benjamin is the owner's name. At least I think so, unless that's changed by since I've left Facebook. But it was funny. I had gotten back from Hobie Worlds, and I had told Ben at Mozingo about this. You know, the night before I left for Australia, I dropped my phone in Lake Wanahoo, which would have ate my third phone. And he was like, "Hold on a second," and he went to the back of his truck and he said, "Here." He's like, "I just don't want to hear another story like that," and just gave it to me. So
that's awesome.
He's truly about just trying to keep people in business while they're on the water. And being able to do what they love doing. So those guys are fantastic. So
yeah.
Here you go. Who remembers these days? Are you ready?
Oh, I certainly remember those days. Yeah.
So I had my old camera wrapped up. This is the old ones we used.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's what I used at Lake Fork in the old TOC. And I remember carefully putting it on. The problem was how could I not be smart enough to figure out to wear a headlamp? I caught my first bass. It was still dark, and I'm holding it to the side of the kayak and waiting for it to light up. And there's bass all around me, and I'm using a buzz bait. And it's 20-something degrees outside. It was a big cold front came through, so I finally get the picture, and then I caught another 18-incher, and then nothing. And then I caught another one later on. I caught 3 fish, got 7th place in the TOC.
I was just going to say, you're a top 10 finisher at Lake Fork yourself.
Yeah, it was a tough day, but I did catch 30-something bass that day total, but they had to be 14 inches.
Yeah.
And I was catching all these 13 3/4, and I'm like, oh, man. But I ended up getting a top 10 finish at that one. I felt pretty good about it. But But these are the days we would go in, we'd turn in our chip, the card or whatever, and in a baggie, and they'd check it for you. And those are over.
Yeah.
So anyway, real quick, we're getting close to the end here. I've got a couple big announcements if you guys want to hear them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I was just going to ask again.
How about you guys out there? Sandy Roberts wants to hear. James, I do powder coat Nico rigs, by the way. And the children do them for me.
So hey, Marty, who is going to do your tackle prep after you retire next year?
You are, James.
You know what though? All those kids live about a block away. They're all the time, so it's not. It's they have a shop too. So, but all those kids live all around me here, right around here. Okay, so real quick, here is our announcement for Kayakjak. Steve George, RoboHawk has a online store.
Yeah, they do. They do,
and they're really
Steve, Steve, I'll get with you offline to talk to you about that.
Yeah, fantastic. Really recommend them.
Yeah. So, as you know, I keep things pretty simple. I've been running tournaments myself since 2004, and I remember the first one today, huh?
OG.
So yeah,
you're the original gangster.
yeah. We had 12 people in the tournament. 2 of them were my kids. One guy brought a kayak made out of wood. One guy had a canoe, I remember. And nobody had really fished a tournament before. And I wasn't fishing it, I was just putting it on. But I think we gave away like a 6-foot Spitfire kayak by emotion. That's what we gave up, and trophies and stuff. So, but the one thing that I'm like a numbers guy. You guys know that. I love catching a lot of bass. Mm-hmm. So we started the Major League a few years ago, and I've kept records of each one. Last year we had 2 of them. This year we're going to have 3 in the fall. Just a fall series, real short, sweet, not even 4 weeks long, and at Flanagan, Prairie Queen, and Flanagan in that order. Awesome. We're going to team up with CSKS in the first one for the team event. All right. And it's as many bass as you can catch. We're going to have AOI points for it. All right. We will have weekly prizes, and then we'll have an AOA trophy just for the winner. I mean, it's that simple. Just you're going for the title. All right. But here's the deal. When you're fishing, people can win by catching the most fish, but you can also win money by catching the biggest fish. Guess what? Not for the day, but for every hour.
Awesome.
So Kayakjaks will be sponsoring $25 per hour for each of those tournaments.
So wait a second. What's your entry fee for this?
Entry fee, $25.
So you're telling me then I can go out there and 1 out of the however many hours of the tournament get my entry fee back?
Yeah.
That's a pretty darn good deal. I like it.
And you can follow Nate around for $25.
For $25. Yes.
You know what? I'll tell you guys what.
All orders paid to me for $25. Okay.
So to help you guys out, I will paddle in front of Nate, slow him down a little bit. You guys get it behind him, cast on each side of him, and just look at him and see how he's doing. Wave at him.
You know I'm going to the center of the lake where there is nothing, right?
Yeah. So there you go. We're gonna have $25 per hour, and depending on how many guys we have. If we have 20 guys, I put a little pot in there. And I did say it's 3 places, but like last year, we didn't have that many. Nate, we were at the ramp. We said, you know what? Hey, how about a winner take all? Yeah. So we did a winner take all. Now I don't know what else I've got coming in for prizes, but I do know there may be some more, as we all know for all of our events. But, there's a lot of opportunity here for people, whether you fish in the sticks, the Nebraska kayak anglers. There's another small group there. They have some onlines. You got the KBF onlines. You got the Central States onlines. You got Kayakjak series. You got the CSKS series. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Huh?
You've got the All-American local to the Midwest.
Yeah. And we have the leagues. Now the Monday night league, again, I want to plug that a little bit, is it's 2 youth together, a youth and adult together, but 2 adults cannot fish together. And that's on Monday nights. That's free. That's absolutely free. The AOI for that, of the youth and the adult, will both get an engraved catch board
Very cool.
Very cool.
for their deal. And then we'll have June 26th is a youth tournament, and your daughter can fish in your lap in that tournament, Nate.
Yeah. That's
So,
cool.
You know, we're pretty low key about that. So, Brian, hope you can make it to some of those events this year. By the way, Brian's been around a long time, you guys.
He is also an OG. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Yes.
He's been fishing these since I can remember. I remember having one at Pony Creek in Iowa a long time ago, and he was there. So, he says yes. So Jay says, so biggest bass through Kayakjak plus CSKS Big Bass Brawl in the first event? Yes.
Wow.
In the first event, you can win $25 for the big fish of an hour, and with you and a teammate. Now that's a winner take. I don't know. That's probably places there, James.
Yeah. So depending on how many teams, it'll be top 10%. Unless we get more than so many teams, we need to figure it all out. But it'll be just like it was last year.
It's going to be like old times. Shotgun start at the ramp.
Yeah, I like those.
Awesome.
By the way, I'm not going to tell you too much of my secret, but when the word go happens, I've got something that's going to wake people up.
Well, here's what you do, Marty. And this, we should do this more in local tournaments because it's actually a blast.
Yeah.
At Hobie Worlds, you actually started out in the water, and then had to travel to a buoy and come around the buoy and come back, which created this like bumper cars / team unity, strategy behind it. And if you were asleep before that happened, you were definitely awake by the time you got around that buoy. So it's actually a really neat thing, and I think we should try it out at one of our events. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Remember, for us old guys, what I've done is I usually latch on the back of yours.
That's happened to me, actually.
So we're gonna have fun though with this. And by the way, those major league ones are just 7 hours in length. They're not 8 hours. They're just 7 hours. Get you out of there. So we'll see what happens. If anybody wants to be involved in sponsorship, let us know. Get your name out there, and then we'll tag you. I'm really glad to see Easy Racks is working with me on some stuff. So that's pretty cool. And can adult and youth be on same kayak on Monday nights? Absolutely, Jennifer. You can have 2 kids on the yak with you. And they could be together. That's okay. But the other thing is, if Nate, you and Cameron were on the kayak and Cameron caught all 5 bass,
that's okay. Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah.
If you catch 1 bass and she catches 4, use her 4 and you're 1.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot of fun. Kind of anxious to see what happens. And then I'm going to give you guys a retirement update. 103 days.
There you go.
Actually, that's 103 work days. All right. But in real time, hold on here. It's not running. Hey, we got to get this thing running, guys. Come on. I have this. Can you see it? I have this running calendar. I actually have 225 actual days, 3 hours.
Still count down to your birthdays?
No, this is a countdown to my retirement.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I saw the birthday candles.
The candles. I don't know what they're for, but I tried to have like a beach scene, but it didn't work. So you know me, I'm illiterate when it comes to this thing. But 100. I have 103 days of actual work, Nate.
That's great.
That's awesome.
You put your years in, and now it's about time to really start fishing for you. It sounds like.
And I do want to say on another note, I've been praying for this family. Kelly Kochwar he was a former student. I remember him as a kindergartner, and he passed away today of COVID. And so it really tugged at my heart. And I want to let everybody know that pray for his family, and has a little ranch and some kids and his wife. And so really good friends, their families. That was what I first taught. And so I really my heart's broken for him. And our thoughts and prayers are with them today as they grieve the loss of a loved one. So I remember people like this all the time, and we're very blessed to get it every day we get. So guys, think about that too, that every day we get is a gift. So Buck, you're right behind me. He's envious. So anyway, anybody got anything else? We're near the end here. We're at an hour. Right at an hour.
No,
I
I
appreciate
think
you guys bringing me on here. It's been fun talking with you guys, and really, I mean, if I may, I'm just really happy for all of the great opportunities that we're getting in Nebraska. I mean, to not have to travel so far all the time, when life just seems to keep getting busier for us all. So to have those local opportunities here, Marty, you've been doing a great job in Nebraska for a number of years, and we all know that. And James, you guys have, last year was probably one of the most fun years I've ever had kayak fishing, and I think it changed a lot about even myself of who I am and the way that I fish and the way that I want to create relationships with everyone, and it's just been awesome fishing with you guys. So you guys have done a fantastic job, and I look forward to fishing both of your guys' series this coming year and fishing alongside everybody else.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. It's we want to create that experience, right? I mean, we all like to go out there and win, but I just want to go fish and have fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We win a little cash on the side, so be it. But,
Nate, real quick, guys, shout outs to anybody out there. Shout outs, Nate.
Oh, do I have any shout outs? I think I just gave you two a couple. So again, thank you guys. But I'm really looking forward to getting down to Texas with a group of guys from Nebraska and seeing some old friends. Wayne Ramey is a great friend of mine, and it seems like we only ever get to link up when we're down there in Texas. So hopeful to see him down there in Texas, and Buck, like I said earlier, appreciate you getting me on with a bait company that I absolutely love and have done really well fishing their baits. So if you guys get an opportunity to check out them, Brent, he makes everything hand tied, everything, and it's high quality stuff. Marty, you've been using some of the Mr. B stuff, and you just can't go wrong with that stuff. I won't use anything I don't believe in. So done really well on his stuff, and he's a great friend and feels like family. So. But I've got some exciting things coming up that I can't quite share yet, but hopefully in recent, or in soon time I'll be able to. But until then, I'm hopeful that somebody from Nebraska can bring it home and be a blast to see somebody else take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. And then on the retirement side, Jay, yes, there's going to be a little party, but news will be disclosed later on that. So you'll hear about it. All right. By the way, we're having just on a side note, we are having the Principal Palooza 2, May 29th at Duck Creek. You guys are welcome to come too. It's a bunch of principals that get together, and they are hilarious. It's in the afternoon. It's my birthday, May 29th. We're gonna have some fun out there at Duck Creek, and these guys are just funnier than heck. We have the Admiral, the Captain, and my name is Dono. Director of Naval Operations for the country. That's what they named me. They're crazy.
That's awesome.
Okay. So that's what we have for tonight, guys. Thank you so much, Nate, for being on, and James.
Thank you.
We'll keep adding to all this stuff and get some more news out there about things going on. Invite your friends. Take a kid fishing. And you guys that were on the chats tonight, thank you for listening in. And also, we're looking forward to meeting you guys all in person, and we'll go from there. I also want to give a shout out to Sandy Roberts, man. She is the real deal, just so you guys know. She can flat out fish, and also Jennifer Solberg. It's nice to see the gals getting involved.
It is.
Absolutely.
And oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Catherine Field. If you don't follow her on Facebook, man, look for her name. That gal is pretty cool how she does stuff. She just finished working on her new kayak and she painted her what do we use, Nate? The sonar.
Live scope.
Live scope. She painted her stem camo on there. Pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah. But
And
she's doing all this herself.
She's a fantastic angler too.
Yeah,
I have
she's a
watched her
great
figure
angler.
things out next to me when I couldn't quite figure them out. So she is.
I think
great
I'm going to
angler.
have a women's night on here some night.
We should do that.
We'll get a bunch
Awesome.
on here and
Yeah.
have them chat and see what their aspirations and goals are this year too. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it a lot. And
Yeah.
good to
Thank
see
you guys. Have a good night.
All righty.
All
I don't
right.
have any music, so Nate, you can hum a song and we're good.
I'll just give the piece, and then I think YouTubers do this.
Oh, okay.
See you guys.
Hey, Nate,
All right.
Nate, good luck down there at Fork. Good luck
Yeah,
to
good
all the
luck
guys
going,
going
man.
down. You guys travel safe. Have a good time. We'll be watching the leaderboard and hope to see all you guys up at the top.
Yeah,
Yes,
good luck
sir.
to all
Take
the
care, guys.
anglers in Lake Fork and all the other tournaments. We're anxious to see the leaderboard light up.
Yes,
Go
sir.
get them, Nate. Go get them.
See you guys. Take care.